arguments, threats, blackmail, even after that. That does not set any foundation to move forward. So, again, letter of the law versus spirit of the contract, right? Apex is not looking for ways to deny people. We're not looking for every small detail and reason, looking and hoping for a way to deny anyone. Apex is not looking for technicality, one slip up, one thing on the line, one trade, looking at risk ratios or contracts or everything with a magnifying glass down to a little decimal. We're not doing that. None of this is about that. That's not even in the spirit of the contract. None of this is about that. That conspiracy theory, lies, rumor spreading has to stop, or accounts will just be shut down. Yes, the contract does lay out the letter of the law. It's written and agreed to, but Apex also understands the spirit of the law. We understand we're all human. We mess up. There's emotional, like the best of us in trading. So no, we're not looking for one little slip up here and one little, that's not what's going on here. But on the flip side of this, there is a level of trust, and there's a level of the spirit of the law working both ways. Once again, like the example I gave earlier of what Apex didn't follow the contract, so we're not paying you. This goes both ways. Like, we're flexible with the spirit of the law. We're not looking for every little, technicality to the decimal point, but the spirit of the law works both ways, and it's hard for trust and moving on or second chances or making exceptions when the main spirit stated here in the contract seems completely violated, used, taken advantage of, misused, or abused, which, it's right here. Contractor funding and paid performance is designed to be a long-term relationship of consistency and steady growth for both parties. A lot of the stuff we've covered in all these videos, was there anything there that was a relationship, a true partnership, consistency, or steady growth for both parties? This means not taking advantage of the trader funding system and using the company in an abusive manner or trading simulated accounts differently than you. That's the whole spirit of the agreement right there. And that is completely, with most all these situations, violated. Like, intentionally, purposely, to use, misuse, take advantage of, work the system over, right? And then the other part of the contract, which always has been there, is contractors going looking for windfall trades or rack up funds quickly, have a history of blowing company accounts, right? Maybe restricted. And, contractors constantly going in for these windfalls and blowing PA accounts as opposed to following disciplined and steady trading systems do not create a relationship of consistency and steady growth for both parties. Like, you want give, but there's no take. Or you want take, but there's no give, right? I mean, some of these areas are just very clear in the contract and make a very, solid point of, this has always been there. Companies seeking to fund and pay out contractors who follow a consistent trading plan in size, stops, targets, meaning not maxing out, not lucky windfalls, trading micro, smaller size, constantly trading dollar cost averaging, right? But being consistent in the trading plan, including entries, stops, take profits, this has always been there, right? Very clear about not giving other people access, making sure you're the only one trading, code of conduct, like all of this stuff. So here's the problem, okay? So with enforcing these rules, how would you enforce them? Again, not looking for technicalities, but the big problem comes in when it's not just a one-off thing, okay? This isn't fair. Apex shouldn't do this. We deserve it. You can't suddenly enforce a rule. We've already done this. Okay, well, we expect a second chance with some leniency. We have to look at the full picture and gravity of the situation. Again, we're not talking about random one-off things here in some cases. In some cases, these are pretty big deals and multiple breaches, right? And a lot of the big cases that we talked about earlier in some of these videos, some of these scams of blow and hold accounts over and over again, blow and hold accounts going for little 5 ticks or 10 ticks or DCA, all that stuff. That's not just one-off. In some of these cases, in a lot of these cases, there's a breach for allowing others to access the account, a breach for trading or allowing others to trade prohibited strategies. How would you enforce that, right? Almost every one of these is a breach of not being a long-term consistency for growth of both parties. It's the use and abuse of one party, trying to whack up windfalls in history and purposely blowing accounts, traders not following consistent trading plans and size, stops, whatever, dollar cost averaging, hedging, brackets, gambling, code of conduct, NDA. These are not just a one-off technicality thing. Just the small list here that goes on and on is 13 things, right? That has to be taken into account and the history behind it. But on top of that, in many of the cases, when the contract guidelines were brought up, it didn't result in compliance or amending, but a lot of times it was more breaches and additional prohibited actions and conduct, right? As well as multiple agreements and rules broken in company service desks and rooms. So, yes, once it was found out of all these breaches and was reminded of, it actually got worse then, right? Where there was continued and additional intentional breaches of code of conduct or NDA or other breaches of the independent contractor agreement or repeatedly breaking rules, agreed to rules in social media rooms, Discord rooms, the help desk. In many cases, continuing trading these prohibited strategies over the last couple weeks, right? Or allowing continued access to these third parties. And then from there, the craziness, slander, rumors, libel, disclosures, threats, blackmail, accusation. It's hard to go from intentional breaches of contract, taking advantage of the company, to when that's called out, just more of it happens. And then it gets worse. And then it's complained. And then rumors, threats, blackmail, accusations, that doesn't help a situation move forward, right? So, when this is discovered and all those things, and then it's placed in a situation to play the victim and place the blame on the company, it does not show hope, trust, evidence, or any good faith moving forward. Like, how would you possibly be able to find a way forward with someone like that or with a partner like that, right? So, not all the situations are the same. Not all the situations fit these points on the last slide. They're going to be case-by-case basis, right? But by contract and agreement, and other agreement signed, and other agreement signed, and multiple different breaches of contract. And after, Apex has no obligation to these contractors that have breached, especially the multiple intentional breaches. Apex has full rights to consider these contracts breached, null, void, and to close and forfeit all simulated accounts and balances. Like, Apex is not under obligation or debt to credit, apply, pay out, provide. Like, that's very clear. Everyone understands that. Everyone's agreed to that more than once. And that's nothing new. So how will Apex handle these? Well, again, it's going to be case-by-case basis, but for some, it will definitely be a complete closure and forfeit and ban completely, especially those involved in major scams and group scams and schemes and historical, repeat offenders, blatantly misusing the system, taking advantage of the system, teaching others to do so, allowing others access to Apex accounts and systems and Rhythmic and Ninja and, and all that. Breach of disclosures and non-disparagement, slander, defamation, threats, blackmail, all of that. Or encouraging others for any above. And potential legal issues for damages or loss from that. But that is in no way things to be able to come back from and move forward from, especially when these continue. So now, for some others, depending on the situation, it might just be account closure and forfeiture of a particular PA account, but maybe not ban the user entirely. Must start fresh and follow the rules. If suspected of purposely working the system and taking advantage, engaging in prohibited activities and purpose blowing and, certain activities not in line, excuse me, could be just a closure and forfeiture of that account, but not a complete banning. Best start fresh and do it right. Now, or could be that, depending on the situation and the history behind it, it could be a situation where maybe the account's not closed, maybe there's a denial of payment and put on probation, and at the time, no new PAs or limited access to new PAs to ensure the current accounts are traded properly in review of trades. And, there might be trades in there that were completely prohibited and against the rules, but mixed in with other trades that were not. And that might be gone through and be removal of simulated balances gained by the prohibited trading, but leaving in the profit balance from the allowed trading practices. All unqualified, be disqualified. But honestly, this is very unlikely because it's just simply not realistic. It's too time consuming for staff to go back through and check each and every trade days and weeks back. Depending on that situation, closure would be more likely. It's just not realistic to go through. Now, in limited cases, depending on the situation and completely at the discretion of Apex, we could deny a payout request, but give a second chance to prove. Again, all depends on the situation. Apex realizes not all contract breaches or prohibited trading was done with complete intent to defraud. So once the account is reviewed, if we feel this is the case, possibly a probation status. But here's the thing. The point is this. Does a contractor have an actual strategy system with rules that they can trade? Aside from a scam, a scheme, a windfall, a gamble, or a prohibited trade, dollar cost averaging, do they have a legit strategy they could trade according to the contract rules? Was it, hey, I was just trading that one because I liked it, but no, I got plenty of others. Okay, prove it. Instead of just being forfeit and gone, show that you have a trading strategy or system other than the prohibited one you were conducting. Show you can follow. Can you move forward following the guidelines of the PA contract? Can you move forward, prove consistent trading of qualified strategies, not gambling or windfalling or doing one of these prohibited things? What was the average profit from the previous 10 profitable days before the request? What was that average? No, not to the penny, to the dollar. What was the average? Show that same average of profit for 10 profitable days moving forward on a legit strategy that follows, contract guidelines, then submit withdrawal. You can stay with Apex. You can keep your Apex PA account and even keep the simulated balances that you have in there that were earned previously under the prohibited strategies in the past. We won't go back and remove those balances from those prohibited trades. If you can show that you're able to move forward, follow the guidelines, and execute an actual strategy other than that. Meaning, was the scam, scheme, prohibited, blow and go, non-realistic strategy the only one you got? Or was it just the only one you're trading, but you can actually trade a different strategy that follows the guidelines? Okay, second chance given then, right? Accepted, prove it, we move forward together, put this behind us, sticking to the guidelines. Again, back to Apex trader funding, wanting traders. So if we don't see that malice and intent there, you can show us that you trade, fine. Move on, prove it, show it, move on. We even keep the balances from before. That, I think, is a pretty good offer for those that get that offer. Because Apex clearly has just the right to shut it off. And definitely a right just to remove the balances. But again, this isn't about technicalities, trying to screw something over. It's, are you a trader or are you a gambler? Can you follow the contract? Can you trade or not? Prove it. Prove that you have another strategy besides the scam one. Prove it. Match your last 10 profitable days, move forward. You're good. You can keep it. We move on. I think that's a more than gracious offer for the situations, especially with the multiple and repeat breaches. Now, if that second chance is offered, again, each situation will be handled differently, but if this option is offered, it's above and beyond from Apex. It's an opportunity, second chance, you get to keep it. That's an opportunity and a second chance to be thankful and appreciative for. Not to whine, not to complain, not to, this is unfair, get online and complain about it. Apex is full within their rights to just close it. If the second chance is offered, again, it'd be based on the situation, but if the offer is made, but met with any complaint, argument, disagreement, dispute, disclosure, sharing of enforcement, sharing of communication, accusations, threats, slander, online drama, it will automatically immediately be rescinded, canceled, and so will the account, and considered breached and done. So all user accounts will be closed and forfeited. That user will be banned from Apex. So if that is offered, there cannot be any judgment of Apex simply enforcing their contract that has been breached multiple times and offering a second chance. So let me know how you feel about that. Maybe I'll put that on the vote thing here. So guys, this is not meant to harm or punish real traders. This is about weeding out, right? But the agreed to contract has to be followed. This is what a contract's for. No one can fault Apex or complain or slander about the right to do that. But we're open to allowing a chance for someone to stay with us, show us they can actually trade, follow the rules, move on, keep their balances. It's about weeding out. We've got to weed out the scammers, schemers, gambling, those taking advantage of it, while protecting our traders and the integrity of the system. So that's a quick run through there of some different scenarios based on the situations here. Okay.